Hey residents, welcome back to the channel. MJ here. Today we are back on another video. We're going to be talking credit today. Have you ever wondered about how all these people get all these perks on these credit cards? Well, today we're going to be going over these topics to get you to that epic 800 credit score. So when you go to apply for that next credit card that you really want, that's going to give you all those perks. Or if you go to get your next auto loan, you're going to be able to flex that credit score and get the best rate possible. But first, I want to go over two quick announcements. First, I would like to thank every single one of you out in the community. Thank you so much for everything that you've given this channel, all the times that you've watched my videos, all the support that you've shown with your likes, and of course subscribing to the channel to allowing us to get past that number. Make sure you watch out for that community tab. I'm going to be doing polls from time to time now. It's going to create a nice sense of community. I'm really excited to see where this channel goes in the future. That segues me into my next topic, which is I'm going to be changing up the channel just a little bit, just a small pivot. I'm still going to be doing tours from time to time, but I'm really seeing success in these informational videos that I'm doing for you guys, just like this credit one today. So I want to see a nicer mix of informational videos as well as tours on this channel. I really want to see you guys succeed the most in your future. That said, these types of videos I think will help do that the most. I really do enjoy doing the tours. I have fun. It allows me to be creative and it's fantastic. However, I want to see you guys succeed the most. If you guys have any suggestions ever, let me know in the comments or head over to the community tab. Happy to start a discussion with you guys. But yeah, again, thank you for all your support and let's go ahead and get on with this video. So jumping straight into this video, we need to understand first, I think, what is credit? Well, credit is basically a report card of how good you are at making your payments. How much history of credit do you have? Do you have a lot of credit cards? How often are you applying for new credit cards? How much of your credit have you used? All these factors come into your credit score, which is a 3-digit number ranging from 300 all the way up to 850. Now, based on whatever company you look at, myself, I'm going to be talking about how Credit Karma does their credit scoring. For example, right here, the Vantage score 3.0, as far as Credit Karma is concerned, from 300 to 600, that is a poor credit score. If you're in this category, you need to pay attention to this video and you need to take some of this advice into your heart, because this will really, really help you in moving forward into the future to push you towards a better credit score. Now, as far as the next category is going to be 600 to 660, which is a fair credit score. You're going to start seeing some advantages into getting an FHA loan. And once you reach that 660 mark, you'll be able to apply for a conventional loan. As far as the 661 to 780 is a good credit score. Once you reach that 760 mark, you'll start seeing the best rates possible, as well as some discounts on your closing costs, things like that. And 781 to 850 is an excellent credit score. These are the cream of the crop. You're going to be getting the best of everything here. So this is kind of where you want to aim. I would say at least 760 or above is where you really want to be. But ideally, I would say 780 and above is where you want to truly aim for. 800, I mean, it's not really needed. You're already getting the best of everything. That's why I say 780 is a good balancing point between 760 and 800. 800 is kind of the goal to where you can just kind of flex and just be like, hey, just give me the best. So why is credit so important? Well, I've already kind of touched on this. You're going to be getting the best interest rates possible when you go to shop for a mortgage or an auto loan. You'll also get the best interest rates on credit cards, things like that. Just to think a little bit further outside the box here, as far as credit cards go, you're going to be able to get some really nice sign-up bonuses on those credit cards. Say a 0% interest rate for 18 months on balance transfers. If you have a $3,000 credit card that you're paying 30% on every single year, but you can transfer it to another credit card at 0% for 18 months, that gives you a lot of power to pay that card off that much quicker. And I would actually highly recommend that. You'll understand by the time this video is over of why this truly is and how it actually works. That way you can utilize this to your power and make your finances even stronger. So what will this video do for you? Well, basically this video is going to be an outline of rules to follow that aren't going to take you any more time. It's not going to cost you any more money. It's super easy to follow, but it's going to push you to get that credit score as long as you take your time, have patience, have some self-control, and just work diligently to get to that 800 credit score. I promise you, it will come as long as you follow these simple rules. So let's go ahead and just jump straight into this. So the first part is your credit on time history. This accounts for 35% of your total credit score. That is a huge chunk. As a matter of fact, that's more than 1/3. So how does it actually work? Well, let's just break it down to a super simple example, and then I'll go into a little bit more of a complex example here in a minute. First example, easy. Let's say you got one credit card exactly 1 year ago. You've made 12 on-time payments, right? That's 100% on-time payment, right? Now let's say you happen to miss one of those payments. So that would be 11 on-time payments out of 12. That would be 91.6%. That is absolutely horrendous when it comes to your credit score, as shown on the screen right here. That puts you into the red category, which is a big no-no for these big time lenders, and they don't want to see this. They're going to be looking very much the other way when you come applying. So that was a super easy example. Let's make this a little bit more complex though. Let's say you have a credit history of 5 years. You've had 3 credit cards for that entire time. So that would mean that you've made 180 payments, hopefully, over that time. But just for the sake of this example, let's say you were bad 1 month and you missed a payment. So we'll take 179 divided by 180, and that means your on-time payment history is 99.44%. And that puts you into the green zone according to Credit Karma, which is really, really good. This is where you want to be at all times, above 99% payment on time history. So this is all really easy to understand. So how can you apply this? So basically what I'm trying to show you here is that your payment history needs to be quite lengthy for you to be able to even miss a payment. By that first example, by missing one payment, you were at 91% on-time payment history, which the creditors are not going to look favorably on that. However, after 5 years and you still only missed one payment, you're doing great. You're in the 99 percentile at that point, and they really, really like you because you're making your payments on time and as agreed. Now, one thing you need to understand here is all it has to be is the minimum payment. It doesn't have to be any more than that for this to be counted as an on time as agreed payment. So just understand that if you're having trouble making your payments, just bring it down to the minimum payment. It's not going to hurt you to make only the minimum payment. So how much credit do you have and how much have you used? That leads us into our next topic of credit utilization, which accounts for 30% of your credit score. Just these first two categories are so high impact that accounts for 2/3 of your credit score. That is a lot. So how do we calculate credit utilization and why is it so important? Well, the almighty creditor wants to see that you're not just going out and getting a credit card and maxing them all out and then just going out and doing the same thing again. There's no faster way to kill your credit score than just going out and maxing out these credit cards. So how do we calculate utilization so we understand how it works? It's actually very, very simple. Just for a simple example, you have one credit card and it has a credit limit of $1,000. Let's say you have spent $355 on that credit card. That means you have a credit utilization of 36%. Very, very simple. Even if you make this more complex, all you'd have to do is take the amount of credit you have available and divide it by how much you have used. Now, how do we combat this and keep it low? That's actually very simple too. Pay off your balances. Don't keep a running balance. That is a myth. Pay off your balances. I don't know how to make it any more clear than that. Some other strategies you have here is every single year, ask for a credit increase. This will allow you to have more credit available, bringing that utilization down. So let's say, for example, you have $10,000 of available credit and you've used, let's say, 5,000 of it. So you have a 50% utilization at that point. Let's say you ask for a credit increase at that point and they bring it to 15,000. That would bring your credit utilization from 50% down to 33%. You see the power of that? That would bump your credit score even more. So just asking for a simple credit increase on your cards every single year can increase your credit score. Just do it. It doesn't take that much time. Most of the time you can do it online. And even if you do it over the phone, it's only going to take you 5 minutes. It's not going to be a big deal. And if they say no, no harm, no foul. At least you tried, right? Another strategy is get more credit. That sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? But it's the truth. With the previous example, it's the same logic. If you just go out and get another credit card and you get approved for $2,000 more, that's going to just give you that more credit available without using any more credit. I'm not saying you have to go out and get a credit card to use it. You could just use the available balance as 0 just to increase your credit score, right? Sometimes that power is within your grasp. Just make sure that those types of cards, if you do use this strategy, those are 0 annual fee. You do not want to be paying a fee to just simply increase your credit score. There's plenty of credit cards out there that have 0 annual fee. So just think about that one a little bit, something to consider. Another thing a lot of people think is if you have an old credit card, you should close it. That's not true. Keep it open. The longer it's open, the more available credit you simply have available. You're not going to be using it anymore, right? That's not your intention. So just don't even close it. For example, on my truck, I got new tires for it about a year and a half ago, and I opened up a credit card just to get the tires. I paid it off a month later. No big deal. However, I didn't close that account, so I have $2,000 of credit just sitting available, simply helping my credit score because of that. Over time, creditors will close your accounts if you don't use them. So if you do want to keep those accounts going, let's say it's a credit card, go buy a pack of gum with it and pay it off. That's all you got to do. Just do that once a year. So it's super simple just to maintain that. So at the end of the day, I understand why credit utilization is so important. It shows your ability to pay your bills and pay your bills on time and manage your money appropriately. However, it is actually pretty easy to manipulate this particular category by opening up new accounts. However, let's go ahead and jump into the next category of credit history. And this is where opening up new accounts could hurt you. So let's just go ahead and jump into part 3. So your credit age, what does that even mean? I don't even understand what that means. So let's explain this out a little bit. Let's think of it more like the length of your credit history, or the average length of your credit history. This accounts for 15% of your total credit score. So it's not a huge factor, but I still would consider a moderate factor in your credit score here. And I still would highly pay attention to it. Further, this is probably the hardest one to understand of how it works, as it does take a little bit more math and understanding to get it there. So how does it work? Well, the average length of your credit history is exactly that. It is the average length of age on all of your accounts averaged. That's the key factor there, average. So if you have one credit card that you've had for 1 year, your credit age is 1 year. Let's say you have 2 cards. You have one that you've had for 2 years, and then you have another that you've had for 1 year. That means your average credit age is 1.5 years. Let's make this really complicated though. Let's say you have opened up a credit card every single year for the last 10 years. So you have 10 credit cards here, right? So let's add this up. So 10 plus 9 plus 8 plus 7 plus 6 plus 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 55. That is 10 cards. So you take 55 divided by 10. That means your credit age is 5.5. Now, even though that sounds like you have a lot of credit history, and really you kind of do, that still only puts you in the yellow category here. According to Credit Karma, they want you to have 9+ years of your credit age to have a perfect score. Now, like I said, you don't have to worry about this category quite as much as the first two. The first two are absolutely gigantic, and you need to absolutely pay closest attention to those 2 categories. However, this is going to be counterintuitive to the next couple categories, which we can use to combat this category itself. And you'll understand a little bit more later on of why this will work. So what do we do to get the most out of this particular category? Well, basically, it's a lot more simple than it actually sounds. Even though, yes, we have 5.5 years of average credit age, but the fact that we've been opening up a credit card every single year has really hurt us. So what I would recommend is opening up as many cards as you need immediately, as soon as possible, assuming that you're not going to be making a major purchase anytime soon. Now, this is going to be planning for the future. So just to drive this point home of why we should open up our credit accounts as soon as possible rather than waiting, let's take that same example that we found that the person had 55 years of credit length, but only an average of 5.5 years of credit age. So let's take that same example, but let's say they did 2 credit cards every single year, those first 5 years rather than all 10, meaning they have 2 10 years ago, 9 years ago, 8 years ago, 7 years ago, and 6 years ago. So if you add all that up, that would be 80 years of total credit age. And then if you divide that by 10, because he still has 10 credit cards, that's an average age of 8 years. Now, according to Credit Karma, 7 to 8 years is still in that green category. You're doing good, but you're not quite to that perfect spot yet. Here in about another year or so, this person is going to be at that perfect point, assuming they don't open up a bunch more credit cards. Now, I'm not saying you should go out and just open up 10 credit cards. I'm not saying that at all, but you do need to make sure that you're managing these numbers appropriately and strategically. This is one of those categories that can really kind of screw you over in the long run if you're not paying close attention to it. On the flip side of the coin, just to give you some comfort, it is only 15% of your credit score. And say that yellow portion, 5 to 6 years, that's still not that bad. You're still within the 50% range there. It's not going to be killing your credit score. And you can make this up in these next following categories. So even though this next section is totally counterintuitive, the total amount of credit lines does account for 10% of your total credit score, and that is not a huge chunk. I would consider that low impact. However, if you have 20 accounts and you have good standing in all those accounts and you've treated them appropriately, that's going to be a positive on your credit score. However, if you only have one credit card that you've had your entire life, that is not going to be a positive factor on your credit score. It's actually going to be kind of a negative. So they still want to see you using your credit. Basically, they want to see a good balance here. I know that sounds totally backwards, but you can also use this category to combat against the previous that we just spoke about. So how do we get a better credit score out of this section? Well, pretty simple, more credit. So basically, if you go out and apply for 10 credit cards, you're going to be receiving a better credit score out of this category. Higher limits is another way to do this. So basically ask for those higher limits on your credit cards every single year. The more credit you have available, the better you stay current, the more you will get out of this category. That also feeds into having a lower utilization, which will help out in section 2 as well as right here as well, because it keeps your account in good standing and that you are having a good account with this particular creditor. Further, having more accounts means more on-time payments, means better credit, right? Further, and probably the most important thing out of this category is having a good mix of credit. Having a mortgage, having an auto loan, having a credit card, having student loans. Those are all different types of credit. And as long as you can keep all those in good standing, it shows the creditor that you can utilize all your credit appropriately and manage your money well to understand how it works and to be able to pay your bills on time. Again, I know that sounds totally counterintuitive and it doesn't really make much sense, but it's simply how it works. And just understand, having those accounts and paying them on time is going to help you the most in the long run. Now, as the last point here, Credit Karma wants you to have 21 accounts. I know that sounds daunting. Now myself, I have a couple credit cards. I have my auto loan, I have my mortgage, I have my student loans, which is actually 4 loans. Don't forget that, like, these are all different types of loans. So right there's 8 accounts right there. Not to mention all the little accounts that I have here and there, say like my Firestone account that I get 5% off on whenever I get my oil change, or my discount tire where I buy my tires, or XYZ company. Don't forget those pair of shoes that you bought last year, that's an individual account. Like, all those are individual accounts. So I know it sounds daunting to get to 21 individual accounts. It's really not as bad as you think. Just make sure you keep them all in good standing. Most importantly, pay those balances off as soon as you get them. Treat it like cash, but use the credit to your power to get more money back. So in the last section here, we're going to be going over hard inquiries. Hard inquiries account for 10% of your total credit score. So it's not a major factor here, but you should still understand it and know how to manage it. So what is a hard inquiry? A hard inquiry is when you go to a lender and you ask to borrow money, or you're applying for a credit card. They'll pull your credit report to see if you qualify for said loan or credit card. That is a hard inquiry. Basically, Credit Karma says that you should stay 1 to 2 a year. Once you get to that 3-4, you're in the yellow range, and after that, it's going to start hurting you pretty significantly. By having a lot of inquiries, you're basically telling a lender, hey, I need money. And at that point, the lender is going to be like, well, why do you need so much money? Are you going to pay me back? What's going on? Why do you need all this money? So basically think of it like this. If somebody came to you and asked you for money, and then 2 weeks later came back and asked for more money, wouldn't you start wondering the same questions? Think of it like that. So a couple notes here. 1, hard inquiries only stay on your credit report for 2 years. Second, they only count against you for 1 year. So if you apply for a couple credit cards in 1 year, a year later, you can apply for a couple more and you won't have any further penalization on it. Another thing to note here is if you're shopping for an auto loan or a mortgage, go do all your shopping at once. Don't wait weeks on end to do all the shopping, because then it'll start counting as separate inquiries. If you do it all within a few days or even up to a couple weeks, they know that you're shopping for that said auto loan or a mortgage, and they'll be able to group that together and only count as one inquiry. That all goes to rate shopping, and that is an actual thing, and it's very, very good. I highly recommend it, especially with mortgages. You can go to a bank, you can go to a credit union and a brokerage all in a short period of time, and it will count as one inquiry for you. So keep that in mind. Definitely be selective of what you're doing here. They recommend that you keep 0 hard inquiries in a year. Personally, I think that's a little ridiculous, because people need credit. And how you, again, going back to the beginning, how are you supposed to get credit if you don't apply for credit? How, as soon as you right out the gate, you're getting a negative against you? That's not really fair, is it? So in my opinion, I think they're a little harsh in this category, but then again, it's only 10%, not too big of a deal. You can work past it, and as you build credit history, it's going to go away anyway, right? One last thing I want to touch on is credit piggybacking. Credit piggybacking is a very interesting concept, especially if you're trying to help somebody out to build credit quickly. Now, be aware that not all creditors allow you to do this, and FICO is actually starting to crack down on this a little bit more. So just be aware of that. Credit piggybacking is when you take somebody who doesn't have any credit and then somebody who has a lot of credit and takes that person and puts them onto the same credit card as the person that has a lot of credit. Basically, that person will be able to pull some of the experience of the person that has built credit and helps the other person build credit a lot quicker. It really does actually work quite well. However, again, just be aware that the bureaus are cracking down on it a little bit, and not all creditors allow you to do it. So just proceed with a little bit of caution, and be aware if that person that is piggybacking on you faults on their payments, you are going to suffer for that as well. Just be careful, think about what you're doing, and protect yourself as well. And lastly, make sure you check your credit score regularly, even if it's with LifeLock, with a service like that. That's what I use personally. I absolutely love it. It's a wonderful service. I have a link in the description below to them. Make sure you check it out. I highly recommend it. Or you could even use a free service like Credit Karma, just to pull your credit report once a year. It's very, very good to know what's going on in your credit report, and hey, who knows, maybe something sketchy has been going on there. You can fight it against the credit bureaus. That's a whole nother topic for another video that I can dive into if you want. Let me know in the comments below if you have any suggestions for any videos. And if you do like this type of content, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification so you don't miss a single video when I upload. Also, if you did enjoy this video, found some value in it, give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out, helps the video out to be discovered by more people just like you looking for this information to get that epic 800 credit score so they can flex that at the auto dealership and get the best rates possible. But as always, I really appreciate you guys stopping by and checking out this video with me today and staying all the way to the end. We'll see you guys next week. Later.
Get me out of here.